Grug was having one of those days. You know the kind. He sat outside his cave, poking a rock with a stick. Pause, twos. The rock did nothing. He poked it again. Still nothing. This, he decided, was the peak of his existence. Pause, twos. The sky had been quiet all day. Then, crack! A lightning bolt slammed into a dead tree right beside the cave. Sparks flew, smoke billowed, and there, at the base, a tiny, flickering, hissing orange glow. Grug screamed, threw his stick into the air, and dove behind the nearest rock, which was, unfortunately, the size of his own head. He peeked out, one eye, wide, terrified. Pause, twos. He crept closer. The thing crackled and popped. Grug tilted his head. His brain, a smooth little pebble of logic, made a connection. Tiny, angry, sun, fallen from sky. Pause, threes. Now, the narrator feels compelled to mention fire crackles because of moisture and gases escaping burning wood. It is not a small celestial body with an attitude problem. But Grug doesn't know that. He crouched down low. He made gentle clicking sounds with his tongue, like you do with a nervous squirrel. He reached out a trembling finger. Shh, shh, tiny son. Grug, friend. A breeze blew. The fire flared. Grug yanked his hand back like it was a snake. Then he grinned, that big, goofy, proud grin. Grug will name you Sonny Jr. Grug will raise you big and strong. Ladies and gentlemen, Grug has officially adopted a chemical reaction. Pause, twos. He wanted to bond. He leaned in close, face right near the dancing flame. Grug is friend, he said, with the confidence of a man who has never been burned. The fire hissed. And then, pfft, a tiny ember shot out and landed right on his nose. Grug's eyes crossed. He danced in a circle, patting his face, yelping. The ember left a little black smudge. He laughed, nervously. Sonny Jr. is playful and spicy. He was already covered in soot and denial. This was the beginning of a beautiful, terrible friendship. Grug forgave the tiny son almost immediately. Pause, twos. He had a big heart and a very small brain. Perfect combination for disaster. He sat cross-legged in front of Sonny Jr. and stared at it for a long time. The flame wiggled. It shrank down small, then stretched up tall. Grug tilted his head. Tiny son is doing a hungry dance. He nodded to himself, absolutely certain he had cracked some ancient code of the universe. Pause, twos, so he decided to feed it. He grabbed a handful of dry leaves and tossed them onto Sonny Jr. The fire ate them instantly. Whoosh! It doubled in size. Grug's eyes went huge. His mouth fell open. Oh, very hungry baby. He scrambled around, grabbing sticks, more leaves, a random tuft of fur from some unfortunate animal, and threw it all in. The fire roared up, crackling and popping like a tiny, furious celebration. Grug clapped his hands. Grug is best son-father. Then he had a better idea. A worse idea. The same thing, really, when you're Grug. He found a long stick and held one end into the flame. The tip caught fire. A bright little orange tongue danced at the end of the wood. Grug lifted it slowly, staring at it like he had just invented magic. He waved it gently. The flame trailed through the air. He waved it faster. It made a whooshing sound. He grinned so wide his cheeks hurt. Sonny Jr. made a baby. Grug will call it Stick Jr. He now had 2 pets. A family was forming. He marched around his cave proudly, holding Stick Jr. high. He poked it at a dark corner. The shadows ran away. He gasped. Stick Jr. eats darkness. This was the greatest discovery in human history, and nobody else was there to see it. Just Grug and his 2 fire children. Then he noticed the cave wall. The flame from Stick Jr. was leaving a black smudge on the rock. Grug squinted. He held the stick closer. The smudge got bigger. He dragged the flame slowly across the wall, drawing a wobbly line. He stepped back. It looked like nothing. But to Grug, it was art. Grug makes wall painting with sun, baby. He drew another line, and another. Pretty soon, he was scribbling stick figures of himself, a mammoth, and what might have been a tree, or possibly a very confused octopus, if octopuses existed in his world. The narrator would like to clarify they did not. Pause, threes. Then Stick Jr. started getting shorter. The flame crept down toward Grug's fingers. He didn't notice. He was too busy admiring his masterpiece. The heat kissed his knuckles. His eyes snapped down. He yelped and threw the stick across the cave. It landed in a pile of dry grass. The grass went whoosh. Suddenly, a brand new fire was born. Right there, inside his home. Sonny Jr. had a sibling now. An unplanned, chaotic sibling that was eating Grug's bedding. Grug screamed. Not a brave scream, a high-pitched, running in circles scream. He grabbed a flat rock and tried to smack the fire out. Whap, whap, whap. The fire just ducked and weaved like it was playing with him. Sparks flew up. One landed on his fur tunic. A tiny wisp of smoke curled up from his shoulder. He didn't see it yet. He turned to run outside and tripped over his own foot. Classic Grug. He sprawled on the ground, and the little fire on his shoulder finally introduced itself. A hot, sharp sensation. He rolled around, shrieking, patting himself until it went out. He lay there, panting, covered in soot, sweat, and regret. The cave was now lit by two separate fires. Sonny Jr. was still crackling happily outside where he'd left it. And the new one, which Grug had not yet named, was merrily chewing through his grass pile. Smoke drifted up and out through the cave entrance. Pause twos. Grug sat up slowly. He looked at the chaos. He looked at his blackened fingers. He looked at the smoldering hole in his fur tunic. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. 2 sons, he whispered. Grug has 2 sons now. Grug is rich in sons. He had learned absolutely nothing. In fact, he had learned the opposite of a lesson. He had learned that chaos equals wealth. From outside the cave, a distant grunt echoed. Some generic background caveman had probably seen the smoke. Grug puffed out his chest. They will come see Grug's glowing cave. They will be jealous. He stood up, brushed some ash off his chest, and struck a pose. A very dumb pose. Hands on hips, chin up, one eyebrow raised. The narrator would like to point out that Grug's eyebrow was mostly just a smear of charcoal. He decided to make the cave even brighter. More suns meant more power. That was Grug logic. He grabbed another stick, lit it from the grass fire, and started poking it at anything that looked flammable. A pile of old bones, a woven reed mat, a suspiciously dry-looking corner of his sleeping nook. Each new flame was a new pet. He named them as they appeared. Grass Jr., Bone Jr., Mat Jr., Corner Jr. The cave was turning orange. The heat was building. Grug was sweating like a mammoth in summer, but he refused to admit discomfort. Grug is fine. Grug is warm. Grug is king of suns. Pause twos. Then a flame climbed up the wall and licked the ceiling rock. A chunk of soot fell and bonked him on the head. He looked up. The entire ceiling was now wearing a coat of flickering orange. He blinked. Oh, cave is also sun now. He nodded slowly, processing this new reality. Cave Jr. He had named his entire house. The smoke was getting thicker. Grug coughed. His eyes watered. He stumbled toward the entrance. where Sonny Jr. was still burning innocently outside, completely unaware of the chaos it had spawned. Grug leaned against the entrance rock, taking deep breaths of fresh air, while behind him his home glowed like a prehistoric jack-o'-lantern. He turned and looked back at the inferno. Flames danced on every surface. The heat made the air wobbly. It was, objectively, a catastrophe. Grug crossed his arms and nodded with deep satisfaction. Grug improved cave. Now cave glows forever. No more dark, no more cold. Grug is genius. He had accidentally invented the first permanently burning cave, a concept that would never catch on for very obvious reasons. But Grug didn't know that yet. He just stood there, bathed in the orange light of his many, many fire children, looking like the proudest idiot who ever lived. The heat made the air wobbly. It was, objectively, a catastrophe. Grug crossed his arms and nodded with deep satisfaction. Grug improved cave. Now cave glows forever. No more dark, no more cold. Grug is genius. He had accidentally invented the first permanently burning cave, a concept that would never catch on for very obvious reasons. But Grug didn't know that yet. He just stood there, bathed in the orange light of his many, many fire children, looking like the proudest idiot who ever lived. Pause 2s. That night, Grug slept in his glowing cave. Well, he tried to sleep. The walls were literally on fire. The floor was on fire. His favorite sleeping rock was now a sleeping ember. Grug curled up in the one slightly less fiery corner, sweating like a mammoth in a mud bath. He kept mumbling to himself, "Warm, very warm. Grug no cold now. Grug win." His hair was singed, his toes were toasty, and a tiny flame had taken up permanent residence on his shoulder, like a parrot. Pause 3s. The next morning, a few other cavemen wandered by. They saw the cave glowing like an angry orange mushroom. They saw Grug emerge, covered in soot, grinning with blackened teeth. He spread his arms wide and announced, "Grug make forever fire home. You all welcome. Just no touch walls." One caveman poked the wall and immediately regretted it. Grug nodded wisely. "See? Spicy walls. Grug, teach you." No one visited twice. Pause 2s. Days passed. Grug adapted. He cooked rocks for breakfast, because everything he brought inside instantly caught fire. He learned to jump over the flaming puddles of melted animal fat. He named every single flame in the cave. There was Blinky, Flicky, Hissy, and Big Chompy. He talked to them every morning. They crackled back. He was convinced they were conversing. Pause 2s. The narrator, at this point, must step in and clarify that fire is not a pet. It is a rapid oxidation process. It does not love you. It will not fetch. But Grug would never know that. He lived out his days in that inferno, convinced he had mastered the sun. He even tried to teach Sonny Jr. to sit. It did not sit. It just burned brighter, which Grug interpreted as standing up. He was so proud. Pause 3s. And so, civilization took a tiny, smoky step forward, mostly by accident. Grug never discovered that fire was just fire. He died years later, warm, happy, and completely wrong. The cave is probably still burning somewhere, a monument to the dumbest genius who ever lived. And if you ever find a glowing cave with a stickman skeleton grinning inside, you'll know exactly whose fault it was.